So I actually have quite a few friends in their 50s or around that age group. Actually, a big part of the demographics on my YouTube channel is between sort of 45 and 60. And a lot of these guys are new to playing as well. I just want to have a chat to you about maybe what you've found teaching older players who are new to playing guitar, and maybe a little bit about their progress as well as they develop.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. This Some of those guys come at it. They played when they were kids
Hmm.
a little bit. Some might not have played at all, or not much at all, but just a little bit. And you'd be surprised at how much the fingers remember.
Yep.
They might not remember a lot, but they actually remember how to move, and it's sort of a bit of a muscle memory thing. So for a guy that's played a little bit, coming back to it, and a lot of these guys come back to it because they're getting older, but that sort of age group was into a lot of music when they were younger. I
Yep.
mean, now kids have got a lot of things that that they can focus on, or they probably don't focus on much, but focus on it, or they're dispersed across a lot of things. But back when I was growing up, music was a huge thing, and it was I was talking to a mate last week, on a Monday or Tuesday night, what are we going to do? Oh, let's whip up the Prospect, check out a gig, or we'll go here and check out. There was a gig on everywhere that we could go and see every night of the week, and we would, just because
Yeah.
that's what you would do. So a lot of these guys will come back, are coming back to the thing and say, well, I wish I had have gone further with the guitar. I wish I had have learned how to play it.
Hmm.
And that's terrific. But there is a problem. When you sort of starting to get older, sort of approaching 50, mid-40s, 50, it's harder to learn than it was when you were a kid.
Okay.
It's physically harder. The hands don't work as well. That's why I made the point before. The guys that have done it a little bit before, they've got an advantage here. Their hands do sort of know where they're going.
Hmm.
It doesn't mean you can't do it, because you can, because I've taught a number of people that do. In fact, one of my mates is playing in town tonight somewhere. He's playing a bluegrass show,
Cool.
singing and playing. And he'll tell me, he will say if you ever spoke to him that he can't play, but he actually can. He plays quite well and he sings quite well. And he just wanted to do it. So he spent his time and practiced and got to a reasonable standard. It's not where he wishes he was. He wishes he played when he was 17 or 16,
Hmm.
whatever. But still, he's playing and he's out there doing some shows and things. He's making up concept sort of ideas and going out with a group of people and having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, great.
So you can do it. It's just going to be a little bit harder, and don't expect to sort of come out the other end being the next big thing, because that's really just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can play and you can have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of programs. There used to be a Weekend Warriors program around that I had a few mates that got involved in that, and they had a lot of fun. And some of them have still got the bands that they did 5 or 6 years ago, and they're still out playing parties and doing
Hmm.
stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity there for people to do things.
Yeah.
But just take your time with it. I think that's the thing I'd say. I'd say to anybody, take your time with it. I had a guy a few years ago come to me. He was retirement age, in his nearly getting up to his mid-60s, and he'd never touched music before.
Yeah.
And I said to him at the time, this is going to take you a good couple of years, okay? Uh, and it did. And eventually, I think I haven't seen him. He's been overseas, and he just found it particularly hard. But he had a go at it. So it was just it's just his hands were, and the muscle memory wasn't going to work.
Yeah. Okay.
So for some people that's going to be the case.
Yep.
Um, for some others, has pretty good results from a few guys anyway. But they're sort of more starting in their late 40s, early 50s. And if they're willing to just do a little bit of practice, they'll get through. And I've had others that have come with great ideas of doing something. They come for 2 weeks and then realize it's kind of hard.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
That,
it.
that's and that's at any age too. It kind of drives me a bit batty at times.
Hmm.
Um, because as you know, guitar, and anyone listening knows, playing guitar is not easy. It's not something you just pick up and just off you go and start playing it. People don't do that.
No, and a lot of
Yes.
people. This is something that I wanted. That's a great point, and I always wondered. Do you think some people are more natural with music, or say you get two people at the same age,
Yeah.
Will someone click with it more than another, or is it just a lot of hard work?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. It's a really
Yeah.
great question, and I don't know that you could ever really answer it unless you had, unless you could match some people up and then follow them through the whole life and just see where they got to and made them
Hmm.
practice exactly the same and do all the same stuff. But I think um, some people have like not a, I don't know, it's aptitude. Some people really struggle with rhythm and things anyway. They just don't have a sense of that.
Yeah, yeah.
Some people will tell me that they're tone deaf, but tone deaf, there's not very many tone deaf people as a percentage of population. True tone deafness means basically you wouldn't like music in the first place
Hmm.
because you just hear it as a bunch of jangled sounds. Okay,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just makes no sense. It doesn't relate to you at all.
Hmm.
So that's what tone deaf is. Other than that, you're not tone deaf. You might struggle to get pitch a bit, and some people can sing in key better and tune better than others. And
Yeah.
but
I heard it was something also similar to vocalists who can't change their vocal, say from like a C to a C sharp,
yeah,
or they're not aware of the steps in the, like that sort of like a half step up on a fretboard, or a step up on a fretboard. They have trouble sort of deciphering that musically.
yeah.
Eh,
Some people do. That's true. But they, there's a few guys I've taught that have had a bit more trouble finding their way through those sort of things. But they're still out there playing okay.
Cool.
But getting back to the topic there, or what you asked, some people seem to have an aptitude, or sometimes that aptitude is more that they that they just have I don't know, at an early age they just feel that they want to play the guitar and keep picking it up.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a big bonus. Some, like for the rest of us, will want to run out and kick a football around or jump on a
Mm.
skateboard or whatever else. But these guys sort of want to, like Tommy Emmanuel's a really good example. Tom from an early age just had some sort of affinity with the guitar that he wanted to pick it up and play it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but on the other side of that, Tom will tell you he's a natural, but it took him about 10 or 12 hours a day to be one.
Yeah, that's
So,
it. It's a
so
10,000 hour rule, they say. You put 10,000 hours into anything, and you're going to be pretty competent.
yeah, I don't know who measures that sort of time, but
Yeah.
truly, the thing is that
It's like 20 years or something,
is that
basically.
is
Yeah.
that right? Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, something like that anyway.
yeah. Like in his case and other people's cases, they it looks easy when they're doing it, and it looks amazing, but there's a hell of a lot of work that's gone in the background to get to that stage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah, I
know the
mean,
amount of time that I put into playing, and I know the amount of time other guys put in there. They're playing a lot,
hmm
and trying to keep your chops up or trying to learn new things. There's a lot of work that goes into to just getting out there and playing. And as the guy I was telling you about before that's playing, right, Rod, who's a mate of mine, he used to always love watching music and stuff like that. And it wasn't until he started picking the guitar up and learning it, he said, I never realised how hard this was. He said, I've got
yeah.
a newfound respect for guitar players.
Do you also think that it helps if you already know like what you want to play? I know when I first started listening to guitar vocal music, like Dire Straits and Clapton and all the guys back in the day, even John Lee Hooker stuff to some extent as well. I kind of thought, well, if I'm going to play guitar, I want it to be along these lines. This is kind of a good starting point, and it made it easier for me to maybe learn. Do you find
Yeah.
having a specific type of idea about how you either want to sound, or the kind of stuff you want to play before before you either get lessons or before you look into it more, does that help the learning process in your
I
opinion?
think having a focus helps anything, um, but I'm probably guilty of the other a little bit. I can be a little bit too unfocused at times, because there's just so much stuff. I'll listen to that and I'll jump into this and that. And at times, I wish I was a bit more focused on something. And every time I decide to be, I change my mind the next hour. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm the same.
it's
I think some days I'm like, you know what? I just want to completely reinvent my style. So
yeah.
I start trying to learn all these new things, and it always ends up back pretty much where it was, with just maybe 5 seconds worth of new stuff.
Yeah, and I think what you've just touched on there is something else I wouldn't mind discussing, which is just that idea of a foundation, of having a foundation for what you're doing.
Hmm.
I liken it to, you've got a basic concept of how you play guitar,
Yep.
and all you're doing is, it's like a circle, all you're doing is just making that circle a little bit bigger each time, well, not each time you practice, but as you're adding stuff to it over the years of practice.
Yep.
And so for a guy, if I'm teaching somebody that's been playing for a long time, all I'm trying to do is just help them grow their circle a little bit more.
Yep.
And just assist them along that path. It's not about totally changing everything that they do or anything like that. It's just bringing in new concepts, but they've got to be part of your overall feel of your concept. Otherwise, if it's not, it just doesn't stick.
Yeah. So which ways do you sort of approach learning new ideas or opening someone up to a new, style or adding something to their bag? How would you approach that if you were teaching somebody, for example?
The first thing I do, if someone's a player already, I just get them to play for me, and I don't care if they're playing well or not. I just want to see how their hands move, what they do, and what they're about. And I also then want to talk to them about what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve. And it really just goes from there, mate. It's what they're trying to get to that's important, and then we can just start moving down the path of helping them get there. It's just assisting, because I think another key concept is that really we all teach ourselves.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So if someone's teaching you or helping you, they're just helping you to teach yourself better. Because if someone's just throwing information at you all the time and saying, do this, do this, do that, it's not going to be that helpful.
Yeah.
Particularly if you've been playing for a while. So it's more important that you get this, that then you go and use that stuff and play around with it and come up with new ideas of whatever it is that we're working on at the time. So the idea of self-learning is really, really important.
Yeah, great. Cool. So thanks for having a chat to us today, Ross. I really appreciate you being on.
Yeah, thanks, mate. It was good to have a chat.
Yeah, it really it's good to sort of throw these ideas around and get other people's opinions on it. So hopefully it's been helpful for everybody listening. And if you want to point people to your website, feel free to. What was your link again?
Yeah, it's www.rosshelmot. That's HELMOT.com.au. Although I think .com will get you there as well.
Okay, great. Cool.
Just on an outro on this too, mate, we're talking about ideas. Remember, ideas are always fluid. So what we're talking about today, we might have a different opinion tomorrow as things grow. So it's
a bit like the overdrive pedal thing. It's the best one of the week.
It's the best one of the week.
Yeah.
At the moment. Yeah. Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, thanks for having me along today, Shane. It was terrific.
No worries. I appreciate your time. And if people want to find out more about you, definitely check all the links. If you're watching on YouTube, definitely check out the links in the description of the videos as well. And it'll also be posted up at guitarpedaldemos.com as well. So thanks again, Ross.
Cheers, mate.
A huge thanks again to Ross Helmot for joining me. And if you'd like to be a guest on my podcast, feel free to comment either on YouTube or get in touch with me either via intheblues.com.au or via guitarpedaldemos.com. Or you can reach me on Facebook at facebook.com/intheblues. And the last one is Twitter at guitarpedaldemo. So that's DEMO, no S on the end or anything like that. It didn't fit. So feel free to reach out to me any way you like, and feel free to comment. And if you have anything you'd like me to add to a future podcast, absolutely let me know, and I will add it in as soon as possible. I do have a few other subjects that I'm dying to talk about with a few other people, which are now booked, as well as some gear and product guys as well who make some really cool stuff. So it should be interesting times on the podcast ahead. Thank you again for everybody's support. I really appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, feel free to comment below, and I will speak to you all very, very soon. Thanks for listening. See ya.